Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 16th of October 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so also, before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD Research tab, which you can also check out on a daily basis, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here. So feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the Research tab right here. But for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX, so the German index. Yesterday I talked about this one, and in my yesterday's morning video, I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this 12,500 level, and what I was saying that at the time of at the time of the morning video and kind of before the market was open, the cash index was already pushing above the 12,500, and we saw after it opened, we saw a nice push higher. It managed to yesterday reach the one of our targets here, or actually both of our targets that I've mentioned yesterday as well, the 12,600 and the 12,656. The last one, it overshot by just a little bit, and the last one was basically the high of the 4th of July, and basically, in other words, that was the highest point of this year. So it managed to create a new high for this year, and let me just shift this mark here right now to this level. So this is going to be for us the important one to watch now, and basically the level that was reached yesterday was around the 12,682 zone. So we'll keep an eye on this area of resistance. Looking at the cash index right now, it is correcting a little bit lower. It's currently just slightly above the 600 mark, the 12,600 zone. And if it continues to hold here, then yep, we could see another round of buying. The only thing is that even if it slides a little bit lower here, even slides below the 12,600, still, for us, probably the more important level will remain the same 12,500 zone. Now, this is where we will shift this arrow here and push it a little bit lower like this. Basically, if we see a drop back below the 12,500, we will be very careful and very cautious. We'll remain somewhat probably neutral around here. We'll just kind of allow it to move around a little bit. But if it starts falling below the 12,388 zone, which is the low of the 14th of October, or in other words, the lowest point of this week, then yep, we will aim for slightly lower areas like the 12,312 zone, or the this one right here, the 12,142 zone. So again, this might change later on, but for now, that's the level that we're going to be watching. But again, like I said, for now, everything's still looking quite positive here for this index, and especially if it rebounds here from either the 12,600, or the last resort could be this 12,500. Now, for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait until we get a nice clear push above the, and let me just squeeze this a little bit here, guys. There we go. You could wait in a way until we get a nice pop above this yesterday's high near the 12,682 zone, and this way the index would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then target slightly higher areas. And by slightly higher areas, probably areas like around the 12,800. But to be more specific, and let me just quickly adjust this very quickly. So if I jump into a daily chart here, guys, you can see that we are now going to be aiming for levels last seen around here, around August time, in the beginning of August, around 2018. So the first target for us could be, and let me just quickly put this one on the chart. There we go. So this is the high of August 8th, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, the 7th. There we go. And this will be the high near the 12,738 zone, approximately around there. But probably slightly better area of resistance could be seen around here. This is what I was talking about, that we could be aiming for the 12,800s. And this is what this is the level to watch, the 12,886, 85 zone, which is near the high of the 27th of July 2018, guys. So again, there are some good levels here to watch, and like I said, this is a daily chart. For those who are more on the cautious side, you could just wait for a clear push above the yesterday's high, and this way, like I said, then we could aim for higher highs. But for those who are more on the riskier side, you could in a way start looking at the upside if we get rejection around here somewhere near the 12,600, or the last resort is the 12,500, and this is where I'm saying that if you're more on the cautious side, you could avoid kind of all these potential kind of slides here to the downside. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on this one. It could be quite interesting, but like I said, with the downside, we will only consider the downside if we see a drop below the 12,388 zone, only then. Gold. Gold, of course, is selling off. So I've talked about this one in my recent videos as well, and I was still talking about the downside. So yesterday we were hanging around here still, and what I was saying that if we see a drop below the 1491, then it increases the chances for a further move down, maybe towards the 1475. That's going to be our first target. Or should I say the more important target. You can see that the commodity drifted lower, almost managed to reach that area, this 1475, but kind of reversed quickly to the upside, and now it's sitting around here around the 1481, 82 zone. It got held by today's pivot, which is around the 1485, roughly around there. So of course this kind of increases the chances for this one to drift further down, but looking at this picture right now, we will probably take a bit of a cautious approach here. Given that the equities have rallied nicely to the upside, maybe we could see a bit of a pullback, a throwback in the equities, and on gold. This way, on gold, maybe gold could maybe push back up here a little bit, maybe go for a bit of more recovery, and so that's why for us the downside will start at this situation at this point in time. The downside will start if we see a drop below the 1475 zone. So I do understand that we're missing out a bit of a move here, but to be honest, we'll be very careful here today. And if it drops below the 1475, this is more probably more bears could be getting comfortable here, and we could see a slide towards the 1459 zone. So the long-awaited 1459 that I talked about for quite a while now, and if that fails to withhold, then yep, further declines are possible as well. So again, guys, for now, be very careful with the gold. Still, the kind of the upside scenario remains the same. For now, we're going to keep this 1520 zone as the potential kind of breakout for the upside. All this area here, if we see a push higher, yes, we could consider maybe a larger correction within this falling channel formation, but Again, as you can see, like for example, here on Monday, the commodity, the precious metal, did also retrace higher, but failed to kind of move all the way here towards the upper bound of this falling channel, and then started sliding again. So that's why we're not really going to aim for the upside here for the upper bound. Okay, if it goes there, then that's wonderful, but still, it could be a bit tricky here. So, for example, if we will aim for a bit of upside, we'll target initially the upper bound here, but it might not even go there. It might reverse earlier and drop lower. So that's why with the upside, we'll just put it aside for now, unless it pushes above the upper bound of this falling channel and pushes above the 1520 zone. So keep your eyes on that one. AUDCAD, quite interesting, and I talked about this one yesterday in my traders Espresso. And what I was saying, guys, to keep an eye on these two levels here, the 0.8923 on the downside and the 0.8975 on the upside. So we got a drop through the lower side of this one. So we got the drop through the lower highlighted area at 0.8923. It traveled all the way here towards our target near the 0.8877. Well, actually almost managed to reach that area, but still will kind of count that as a success. For now we're going to be very careful here, because yes, I mean, there is a good chance for this one to drift further south, but probably given the current situation, given how it kind of declined over the past few days here, there could be a possibility maybe for a bit of correction, and we will consider a move like this, basically, where we could see this one pushing a little bit higher, maybe failing to move above the 0.8923 level, or even, let's say, having an overshoot, but then never closing it, at least never closing a 4-hour candle above it. And if something like this happens, then yep, we could see another round of selling and potentially dropping below the 0.8877 zone, and potentially targeting the 0.8830 area, which is the current lowest point of October. In terms of the upside, we would like to see a push above the 0.8975 zone first, before examining any slightly higher levels, because by slightly higher levels I mean the 0.9026 25 zone, roughly around there. But again, it's a good area of resistance around here, guys, so we'll be very cautious, very careful, and then we'll take it from there if we see such a move. USDJPY, very quickly on this, I've talked about this recently, and basically I was saying that if we get a pop above this, or in other words, we needed to see a pop above this 108.48 before examining kind of higher levels, and we did get our pop, and we've managed to move almost all the way towards our target near the 108.95. It tested the just 5 pips lower territory, around the 5 pips lower here, around the 108.90, and basically, let me just adjust this quickly. So this was the high of the 29th of July, basically, before, but like I said, the pair decided not to go towards that area, and it tested the area around the 108.90 perfectly and reversed back to the downside. So again, we'll now aim for this level. In order for us to consider higher levels, we need to see now a push above this 108.90, and only then we will target slightly higher levels. By slightly higher levels, I mean the 109.32, which marks the high of the 31st of July, or in other words, the highest point of July, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that is correct. We'll keep it short and simple. We're not going to rush into higher levels even. Yes, I mean, it might travel higher, but let's keep it short and simple for now. Let's go step by step. Like I said, if we get a push above the yesterday's high near the 108.90, then we will aim for this 109.32 first, and then we'll take it from there. In terms of the downside, and by the way, need to get rid of this probably area, or actually, no, I will keep it. I'll keep it because this is going to be the area for us now to consider slightly kind of lower areas. So if we see a drop below the 108.48 zone, then we will aim for slightly lower areas. We will aim for a move lower. The only thing is that this move lower could be limited due to this tentative short-term tentative upside support line taken from the low of the 4th of October. So it's still in play. So in a way, it could still get a hold up around here. So if the pair drifts back below the 108.48, then yep, we will aim for this upside support line, and it could be around the level around the 107.90 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Euro dollar, this is what I was talking about in my trader's tea time. So yesterday in my trader's tea time, we were already testing this crossroad here between this downside resistance line and the this short-term upside support line. And this is what I was saying, that if it holds, if it continues to hold, we could see a nice rebound here and a push higher, maybe possibly aiming for the 1.1063 zone again, which is the highest point of last week. And we perfectly had that, and it failed to close below the crossroads here, because that's what I was talking about. We needed to see a nice close below this before we could kind of examine, let's say, the downside here, but that never happened, and we had a fantastic rebound. So quite happy with myself. But anyway, guys, for now, what we could do here is be very careful. Be very cautious, of course, and wait for a clear move above the highs of last week near the 1.1063. Now, of course, our target here remains the same, the 1.1110 zone. I talked about this previously in all of my videos recently where I was covering euro dollar, and we will aim for this level first, the 1.1110. But if we get a push above the 1.1063 zone, you should be very careful around the 1.1075, 76 zone. That's near its today's R2. So in a way, we could get a hold up around here. So some sort of really strong data would need to push this pair higher above its R2 in order to kind of target higher levels here. So basically, a strong resistance comes here near the 1.1070, 76, 75 zone. If it breaks it, then yes, we will aim for the 1.1110, but we will be very careful around here. So for example, if we get we have a look at this, let's say we from here we start looking at the upside, and then we'll aim for this area right here near the 1.1075, 76. But of course we'll have a very tight stop loss just in case this suddenly reverses back down and drops back towards this short-term tentative ups, or I wouldn't even call it a tentative anymore, but this short-term upside support line. So it may reverse back to the downside again. So that's why, guys, this level here is quite an interesting one to watch. Near the R2, around the 1.1075, 76 zone. We'll keep a close eye on it. If it gets easily broken, then yep, wonderful. That's opening the path towards the 1.1110 zone. So keep your eyes on this one. Let's see how this is going to play out. GBPUSD, of course, the main action here right now is around the pound. Yesterday, some positive news coming out from the whole kind of Brexit negotiation thing, and I cannot even call it anything else thing. Basically, for now, yes, it's looking quite positive. It seems that it's willing to drift further north. The only thing is, guys, if you're trading the pound pairs, be very careful. We will be probably having some increased volatility here, so that's why be very careful, cautious, have your stop losses in place. And for now, looking at this picture, you can see that the GBPUSD pair is willing to travel higher. The only thing is that for us, this is what I was talking about previously when I was covering GBPUSD. For us, the main target was initially the 1.2785 zone. It managed to reach that, and now it seems that it wants to go even further north. Now we'll be very careful. If we get a nice pop-up of this 1.2785, then the next strong area of resistance could be seen here near the 1.2864, and that's basically the low of the 25th of April. Now keep your eyes on this one. Of course, as you can see, we do have our R2 near the 1.29 zone, and actually let me just adjust this, guys. So need to capture this little barrier right here, and basically that's going to be our next target around the 1.2923. Of course, there are some speculations that this might continue drifting further north, could travel all the way towards the 130 mark, but again, of course, we would need to see very positive developments in the around the Brexit thing, and we could see then, yeah, further moves higher. But for now, let's keep it short and simple. For now, a push above the 1.2785 could open the door initially towards the 1.2864. I've talked about this one. That's basically the low of April the 25th. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, the next target could be around the 1.2923, 25 zone, and that's also around the R2, today's R2, guys. So keep your eyes on that one. In terms of the downside, what you could do here and how you could play this one out is wait for a drop below the 1.27 zone, and then we could potentially target maybe slightly these lower levels. I do have this 1.2582 zone on the radar here, but given that it has been violated here, so probably how we could play this one out is probably we will do it in another way differently. So yes, we will start looking at some lower levels here on a drop below the 1.27, 2707, something like that. But just for that extra confirmation, a drop below this 1.2650 zone, quite an interesting one, because this way the pair would also be placed below its 21 EMA here, below its 20 SMA inside the Bollinger Band, and then yep, this could open the path towards the 1.25 area again. So some interesting levels here below, but again, this is why we're probably going to take this area as the more important one. So the 1.2650 zone, we'll keep an eye on that one. If we get a drop below it, then yes, we will aim for lower areas, probably more comfortably. In terms of the upside, for now, you can see that it's willing. It seems that it's willing to move higher above the 1.2785. If it gets a nice push above it, then yep, we will aim for the 1.2864, 65 zone first, and then maybe for the 1.2923. But again, guys, be very careful. Where it's the pound, we could see a lot of volatility this week, especially, and going into Thursday and Friday due to the EU summit. And so that's why. And also, by the way, guys, keep an eye on the today's data. We do have the British inflation figures coming out, so that could drive the pound initially. We could see some movement in the pound, but again, like I said, the main mover of the pound will still be Brexit. Keep an eye on the headlines there. Okay, guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end. If you want to join me later on today at my traders tea time, as always, that's 13:15 GMT. For now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, guys, and I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.